Where are you moving the books?
These are ready to photograph. So these will be photographed today or tomorrow maybe, because I've got some of the old books yesterday that I pulled off that table. So they're sitting there waiting to go. These will probably be the next pile. So they're just going to the photo station. I do need to find a home for those ones.
The multiple copy new ones.
The what?
Multiple copy new ones.
Yeah, I might just put them up on a shelf now. They're quite heavy, these books.
Yeah, well, don't overdo it with your shoulder. I'd offer to help, but, you know, I've moved enough books for you, so.
Sometimes help is a hindrance.
This is true.
Stop looking at all the good books.
We need to talk about this area here. It's not user-friendly. Have you thought about... So one thing we're doing this year is we're clearing out areas, and we might spend half a day taking 2 benches down and replacing it with one, and just leaning the space and leaning the process. Have you thought about doing something like, you've been in this warehouse for a little while with this bench setup, you know what's working and what's not. Have you thought about moving things around so it's got a better flow to it, because this is not good?
The packing station flow works fine. Like, it's good.
It's okay.
Yeah, like as long as the bench is like that, as long as,
So
I've got a lot of orders now to pack.
So what do you have 2 benches here for?
On a Monday, this is lined full of, this is lined full of tubs, and they're all full by the end of my pack video.
Yeah, okay, but what's the point of having them there? There's no point.
So I can put the packed orders on.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you could just have one bench, you've got 4 tubs on it, you fill those up, and then you move them over there because they're going that way anyway.
Well, if I didn't have that there, that gives me, now, we just bought that haul that I want to bring across here and sort. So at least this gives me, I can spread these out. As long as I don't leave things sitting here, like those other books, they were here because yesterday I didn't get to them, so I moved them. But now I've got this haul, and also I've got heaps of 90 orders or something waiting to pack. But I'll get these bundled up because I just bought these and I don't want to just sit them there. And I'll lot these up now, put them into the bundles, and then this is clear, ready for my pack.
So I think that's the reset to zero is really important. That's something, so we're doing a few things this year. The reset to zero is becoming very important in the packing area, in particular on a Friday in preparation for the Monday. Because coming in on Monday, we don't want to have to be worrying about, we don't have enough bubble mailers there ready to go, we don't have enough replacement cases ready to go, etc., etc. So we're consciously cleaning the area, leaning it, making sure there's not sort of junk lying around, and making sure it's ready to go. And it makes you a lot more efficient, and you don't directly save money by doing that, but you save time. And by saving time, you're able to go and list more items, etc., and you're able to make more money.
But I'm pretty good at keeping this free because I'm packing every day. So sometimes this bench keeps a little piles on it, and this bench always stays here. But I wouldn't just remove that bench. That gives me heaps of extra space for so also when I bring the hauls in from the car every week, I bring them here and organise them into the stacks of the sizes, the small books, the large books, the barcode books, the non-barcode books.
And so is that to batch process for listing? And you're not worried about, are you making bundles here as well?
Right now, these books I've bought with the intention for bundling. There's no way these would be listed individually. I just bought these then with the intention for bundling.
So these being ex-library books, how do you think they'll go? Do you reckon it hinders the value much?
No, not on. These are large print books, so they're not just regular fiction. So this being just a regular kind of chick lit, if that was not large print, and that was an ex-library regular chick flit, $15, $20, $15 book, there's no way I would buy ex-library.
Okay,
but this is large print, so that makes it different. They're actually quite hard to find, and they're quite sought after.
You'd think that'd be easier to find as the print is larger.
They do sell well, but it's like this one, I just bought all of them that they had at the shop. And so now it's probably some of the large prints, like you feel that. Like it's because they're the hardcover, they're quite heavy.
Well,
So
that one is because it's
you'd
hardback.
probably, you probably only put like half a dozen of them into a bundle. These paperback ones could maybe get 8, but these hardcover ones. So, but a lot of these are like historical romance, and I like when I sell the large print. Quite often they go to the nursing homes and things, and they're just not worried about whether or not they're like I do get people who buy them. They're sending them to their parent or their grandparent or whatever who's in the nursing home. And when you're in the nursing home, they don't care if they're ex-library or got a stamp on them, or they just.
I don't know if I could ever get my grandma some historical chick lit and send it to her in the nursing home, but each to their own.
Yeah.
All right. So look, that makes sense because what you're talking about is you've got a multi-purpose workspace.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you do clear it, reset it to 0, and you're good to go for the next task, then it's fine. It's not detrimental. So that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
What about behind you?
I can only do so much every day, but I mean,
okay.
There's method to the madness. I know it doesn't look like it, but these books here, like these are all there's What do you mean?
You got 2 baby carriers here that take up a lot of space,
but they're going to be worth money.
That's fine if you sell them.
I will
but
sell
while they're
them.
sitting there, they're not even listed for sale. They haven't been processed. Detrimental. Now, do we need to talk about that stash of CDs you have in the corner there?
I'm going to do those stash of CDs in not just yet. There's a few other things that are going to take priority, but once I'm getting in here to clean this nook, those CDs will be done, and you just wait and watch how much profit I make from the CDs that you didn't want. To be fair, when I bought those CDs, you didn't want those CDs. And then I bought them, and now as soon as I've bought them, you're like...
Are they the classical ones from Jamie?
They're classical, and...
And where are they from?
But the point of the matter is...
Jamie?
Yeah. The point of the matter is, you didn't want them, and so I bought them. And then as soon as I bought them, you start kicking yourself with, like, FOMO. No. And you're like, I'm going to miss out. She's going to make profit off them.
No, well, without a doubt. But you've got the patience for that. What I was annoyed about was Jamie. I've just negotiated a deal with him. He gives me a deal. And then you're like, you flutter your eyelashes at him. And he's like, oh, yeah, you can have all those for X amount. And then he looks at me, and I'm just looking at him in disgust. And he goes, I know what you're going to say, but they're classical. I'm like, that's not the point, Jamie. All right? But anyway, that's fine. I'll remember that. Righto. Well, all right. Like I was saying before, this year, and I say this year because I'm realistic, because it's going to take a long time, and we've got other stuff to do, where we're clearing up spaces. We're freeing up space to be able to do more efficiently, because otherwise you just get bogged down and you get into this trap where instead of handling one item a few times, you're handling it 30 times while you move from here to here to here, and you're never getting to the end result, which is processing it, photographing it, listing it. So,
but I am getting through it. Like, it's not like I'm not just sitting here doing nothing.
Yeah, look, I'm not saying that, all right, but what I'm saying is if you process, and then as you process, you say to yourself, okay, I've been in here for a little while. Does this island bench space behind this area work? Or would I be better off putting more shelves there? So what I'm getting at is what we're thinking about, and it's a long drawn out thought process, because you've got to try and picture it, and you might even get a bit of paper and draw it out and map it out and say, right, this works, this doesn't. What if I did this here instead? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, and I've thought about putting shelves there.
Have you come to any
conclusions? And then as I kind of cleared it, I went, it's really handy having bench space to put the stacks, because if I do put more taller shelves there, then what happens is they kind of get piled up like this, but I'm also trying to create those stacks that are just ready to go straight to the photo station. So like already de-stickered, like, so as soon as my photo bench runs out of stuff there, I know that all I have to do is come over here, grab a stack and go over there, and these straight up, these are processed, they're ready to photograph. So these aren't just stacks that I'm still sorting through trying to decide if I want the book or don't want the book. Like some of the books over there, they're piles of books, but they're not necessarily processed. But these ones here have all been processed and they're like definite keepers and they're going into the store. But it's like I can't keep putting stuff over near the photo bench because like even what I just did then, I took those ones over, I'll photograph these ones next because even this is a little bit full at the moment. The problem is the more I just take over there, I'm not getting to those bundles that are behind you. And those bundles, I really want to clear that area so that it's just more open again without all that stuff.
Okay, so what you're basically saying is you've got a sort of organised chaos area.
It's organised.
And it's done so that area is free, so you can just carefully pick up a very small amount of books, put them onto a trolley and carefully wheel them over.
Well, it's hard to even wheel in there at the moment, like through the actual passageway because of that. But
because of that stack of books there.
Yeah, but the problem with me is I like to get a dopamine fix, right? I very much, the times when I kind of get down and a bit flat is when I just feel like I'm in the Groundhog Day and it's never ending. Mm. Whereas like I like to start something and then see like it completed. Like yesterday when I did that table, like that's I completed it finally. It's been sitting there for months and I was like, no, just finish it and complete it.
Was that the table that looked like it was about to collapse at any point?
Yes. But the problem is when I have all these bundles sitting behind you, like in big stacks like that, and then I just keep adding more to it and they're never getting down, it just like it's that never ending, I'm never completing anything. So I think if I can get through this and then it's just simply like, okay, I've got my 60 items to list today, bring over 60 books. Once the piles are done, you're done photographing for the day. There actually feels like a finish and not like a never ending. And I think that if I have a finish, like I finished that task now, I can move on to the next task rather than like, oh, it's just never ending. Because realistically, I'm never going to be finished in here. The way that it sources and that it constantly comes in, it's never ending. I'm never going to be able to finish this at the end of my day and walk out with nothing to do. So having like piles of like, okay, these are my 60, that's your job today to list those 60, that makes me feel like that dopamine hit of like, oh, I've completed the task now. I can move on to something else. I can move on. And also it doesn't get me like swamped up going, oh, photographing 3 times the amount of listings that I'm not going to get listed in one day. That's extra time. Like just do your 60 and then come work on another task in here. So then you're getting multiple tasks completed rather than getting bogged down on just photographing for hours.
Okay, so that makes sense. You've got designated work areas for different purposes. And so, for example, so for me, right, if I go into the warehouse and I sit down in the office at the computer straight away and I'm there for half an hour, my back's sort of not great.
Yeah.
So what I do is I'll come into the warehouse, I'll be on my feet, I'll be moving around a bit, sort of warming myself up. Then I'll go sit at the computer for a bit. After a bit of time has elapsed, get up, move around. So, and that's probably the same with you because taking photos is quite physical. Mm. And if you alternate between that role where you're sort of hunched over and taking photos and then over here sorting, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Remember when you first came into this warehouse and we were talking about the layout of the shelves and what was more beneficial and why you'd go one way as opposed to the other. And we talked about the direction and the flow. And so basically, I think, I can't remember exactly what I said, but I was talking about different shapes because I was trying to visualize it. And to me, it's sort of like a 6. So the stock comes in through this door here. It comes to this area. It basically gets a pre-sort. You might do quality control on it. Then it goes over there for photography, listing, put away. Then when it sells, it gets picked. So you've gone that direction. And then once it's sold, it's been picked and it comes back to the packing table and then it's out the door again. Yeah. And having that flow, I think, is really important. One of the problems we get stuck in is we have very limited space, not because we don't have a lot of room, just because everything is chock-a-block. So we'll have one pallet arrive and we struggle to fit that in somewhere because it's got to be it can't be in a walkway, it can't be where it's going to get too hot, or it can't be where it could potentially get wet, etc., etc. Is that my water?
Mm-hmm.
Good to see you having a sip every now and then. Anyway, so I think, as you say, it's never going to be done. I think it is possible to have it done, but I think that's a risk. Because if you don't have any stock, so I remember when COVID first hit and people weren't able to go out and source, we had a huge advantage because we had so much stock. We had so much stock, we could go and source from ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, what are we going to list today? Let's go shopping in amongst our stuff. And it's like, you're at that point now. Now, I'm not suggesting something like that will happen again, but for a rainy day, you know, something happens, you're unable to go sourcing, something gets out of line. There's always stuff to do here. You can always end listings or tweak listings or rephotograph something or rebundle something. There's always something to do. However, all the unlisted inventory, getting to a point where you only have a small controlled amount, so probably about the quarter of what you've got now, would be a really good place to be.
Oh, yeah, about a quarter. Like, I never want to have, like, totally no death pole and be like, I have to go find something at the charity shop and then only come out with 2 things. Like, I never want that. Like, I definitely think having, I don't know, 6 weeks worth of inventory for me would be quite good. But
6 weeks seems a bit extreme.
do you think? Or maybe a month anyway. But, I mean, the way that I'm always going to have inventory because I'm saving stuff with the intention to bundle. And the thing is, but once I clear those bundle tables, then I can actually start walking through these areas and going, oh, let's make some bundles. Because I've got lots of, I've got lots of highly profitable items that are just waiting to bundle. But I just don't have the space to, like, there's no point creating more bundles, putting them, like, there's no space. I've got to photograph those ones. But then instead of just building up those tables again, the idea is to go, okay, I'm going to list 60 items today. Let's go find 10 or 20 bundles and then let's pick 40 or 50 individuals and go and put them over. And then once that's photographed, that's me done without having all the bulk load. So the idea is to get that area clean. So this is kind of like the only messy area, but it's like organised mess.
Organised chaos.
Yeah, and like anybody else wouldn't know what's going in here, but like yesterday when I'm sorting that table on the back and I find 2 Brian Jacks books, right? And I go, oh, that's all right. I know I've automatically got other Brian Jacks books. I'll go put them down there with the other ones so then I can make a bigger bundle when it's time. Anybody, if you'd come in there and looking at that, you wouldn't have known that I had other, like, so I'm very familiar with all the books that are on these shelves and in these stacks. And that's because I'm doing every part of the process. But I'm very familiar here. Like when I'm out even sourcing, I'm very familiar. Oh, if I buy that book, I'll be able to put it together with that bundle because I know back in the warehouse I've already got 4 of those books. And if I buy another one, it's going to make a bundle and it's going to be enticing to sell.
Yeah, so we do that as well. What we've done is we've got a whole stack of whiteboards throughout the warehouse in certain areas, generally close to where that stock is. And what we'll do is we'll have a list of title of the item and then if there's different versions of it or different volumes, what we've got in stock. And what I do then is I take a photo of that. We update it, like basically every time we sell something or pull it from there or add to it, we update the whiteboard, or we're meant to. We've got to double check that because we always miss something and it just happens. But what I do is I take a photo of that whiteboard. So if I'm out and about and I know, okay, there's a particular CD that we are seeking, but I can't remember because it might have 50 different volumes, what our exact stock is. So I can refer to that photo and go, okay, that one we don't need, we've got 68 copies of, but that one we do need, we've only got 1 copy of. And I find that really beneficial. And I think if you've got a good Rolodex in your mind as to what you need and what you don't, but the problem for me is I'm visual and I'll remember something and go, okay, that title we need. But then I'll think to myself, is that volume we need or is that just one I'm so familiar with seeing, I just think we need it?
Yeah.
So your mind plays tricks with you.
Yeah.
So I think what you're saying is great, but I think when you get to a point where you've got too many things you're saving for the purpose of bundling, you almost need to have something like the whiteboard with the stock on it and a photo of it so when you're on the go you can see. But if it's something that's really worth bundling, it's probably never going to be really detrimental to have additional copies. But if the issue is you're doing a bundle of 4 and 3 of them you've only got 1 copy of, and then 1 of them you've got 30 copies of, then you've got a real major problem.
I'm pretty familiar. Like I can remember the ones that I've got like a heap of. So I'll be like, I don't need any of that one because I've got 20 of that book.
Okay.
And I'm pretty good with remembering the ones that I've got like a large stack of.
How many titles or how many different bundle titles have you got in here on these shelves at the minute that you'd be remembering essentially what you've got in stock?
Well, see, a lot of like the fiction is just by author, so it's not actually by title.
Yep.
So it doesn't really matter if I was to buy James Patterson, for example. Like it's just James Patterson has part of a series, right? And you can bundle up by the series.
They're the numbered ones, aren't they?
He's got multiple different series, so you're not going to bundle up different series together. So they're all like, for example, one of his series is called The Women's Murder Club, and that is, I do try and put them in sequential order, but I'll save them up on the shelf over there until I can try and get books 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in a row, because it's like almost a guaranteed sell then. Whereas if I go to the trouble of bundling something up that's book number 1, book number 5, book number 9, it's a harder sell, and it's almost better to just sit on the shelf and wait.
Yeah.
But then there's other James Patterson books that are just standalone crime thriller, and I can just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 book and put it into a lot together. So so those kind of ones, like when I'm outsourcing, I might just I've got like the Rolodex, like you said, inside your head. I've got a list, I guess, of inside my head of what authors I know will sell for me. And so if I find books out there that are good quality and at the priced right for bundling, because that's the thing, you can't be going and buying these for $2 each and putting like 6 of them in a bundle. You're never going to make any money.
How much were you into those for? They were $1 each.
These are $1 each.
Were you expecting to get a better deal from the shop because you bought so many?
No, I know that I can sell bundles of these for $50, $60.
How many in a bundle?
Half a dozen.
Right, that's pretty good.
If I can have a $6 cost of goods and turn that into 50, I'm pretty happy.
The thing I find interesting is, so we went to this shop yesterday, and those were there because the lady at the shop said that they were understaffed and they hadn't restocked, but they had a whole bunch of stuff to come in. And you basically ignored those because they were ex-library.
No, not because they were ex-library. Yesterday I grabbed some different books there.
Right.
And what I saw these here, there was a lot of ex-library books in there. But then this morning when I was kind of having a better look, they were scattered between. So there was a whole lot of ex-library regular fiction, which I'm not interested in. And then I noticed like a couple of them were like the larger print. So then they've got the whole big bookcase. So then I started going through, like picking out the larger prints and making a stack on the floor so that I could look how many was there actually in large print to be able to make bundles with. I left all the regular fiction there that's like ex-library. I'm not interested in that whatsoever. But because they had so much of it and this was scattered between, I'd kind of just scanned over it yesterday and I'd already had a handful of books, and that was kind of like, oh, I'm happy with this handful of books. But when you wanted to go back to that same charity shop today, we're already in there. I could see they hadn't restocked. There was nothing really new in there. You're browsing around. So I'm looking at the same kind of stuff, but I guess like I'm looking at it like in a little bit more depth than going in there when it's freshly stocked and cherry picking. I'm in that charity shop like going, we're already here. It's better if I can make the most out of it and actually get something because we've spent the time to come up here. And so what can I get here that will actually be quite profitable? And I didn't come away with anything else if I didn't buy these. But it wasn't until I actually like just started picking them out and making stacks on the floor. And if they'd only been like maybe a few, I probably would have just left them. But because once I stacked them up, I was like, there's a lot. And the thing is, when I make, so what I've just created this, there's 7 bundles, right? It's so quick and easy for me to do a secondary listing.
So these are actually your bundles?
Yeah, these are my bundles.
And
I've
you've
just created them
that
just
quickly.
then.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I've kind of gone through these. Some of them are historical themed, historical women's, like they're set years and years ago, and then some of them are more modern. So I'm putting them into lots. Like these are historical, these are more modern days, rather than mixing up modern and historical. But the thing is, now when I make these, the listing nearly stays exactly the same. The item specifics nearly hardcover or paperback. They're all different publishers, so I'm not going to put a publisher in there. The topics and historical, romance, women's chick lit, women's fiction, like they all pretty much stay exactly the same. The only thing that roughly needs to change is those 7 titles. And you can pretty much keep the same large print, 7 by large print historical romance hardcover novels, or 6 by large print historical paperback novels. It's pretty much the same title. One's just saying there's 6, one's saying there's 7, one's saying there's hardcover, one's saying they're paperback. That's a very quick listing that I barely have to do any work on to get 7 listings up straight away. Those listings are like almost exactly the same. So it's super fast. So when I'm out there looking like that, I'm like, okay, I can get all of these books. That's going to be really quick for me to list. I'm not going to have to stuff around. They're all going to they'll all be priced exactly the same, probably. And it's just a couple of keywords that changes in the photos. And I know that large print books can bring me some good money. So it's kind of like a no-brainer to get them. Yep. So, yesterday maybe if I had more kind of time there, but I'd already gone through and done a cherry pick of other stuff, and then you were ready to go as well. So it's like, I'm done. I've got a big stack. I'm happy with my stack. I felt like it was a productive day at that shop, and that's just a local shop.
So what you're talking about is essentially 15, maybe 20 minutes worth of work, maybe a bit more with the photos, to do 7 bundles that you've already bundled up, where essentially you're talking about turning $40 into $400 before costs, postage, listing fees.
This would take me 15 minutes to photograph.
Right.
And this would probably take me 5 minutes to list.
Right, okay.
Because normally I'd take about a minute to list each item.
Right.
Right? But because this is pretty much going to be exactly the same,
yeah,
I could probably, as long as the computer is fast enough to keep up with me, it would be 7 minutes max if you worked on a minute of listing. They're not hard listings.
Okay.
So, if it's like 20 minutes of work.
I suppose the thing is with the bundles, it raises the sale price, the average sale price. It's good to get a bundle selling. It's good to get a $50 or $60 sale as opposed to $15 or $20 sales. The issue is the work that goes into doing a bundle as opposed to selling them individually. And we, for a long time, basically refused to do bundles. We'll do certain things as bundles, that it's like volume 1 to 20 of a specific series. That's a no-brainer for us. We'll bundle it. With the books, it makes a lot of sense what you're talking about there. And we sort of thought, okay, well, instead of doing bundles, what we'll do is we'll list everything individually, and then we'll put a coupon out there that is along the lines of buy X, get X free. So people are then encouraged to make up their own bundle. The only problem we've got with that is we're continuously getting messages from people, oh, can you cancel these 4 items I've just purchased but haven't paid for, because I didn't realise that we could use a coupon with offers. And that's a recurring problem. That's something eBay should have addressed a long time ago. It's just a waste of everyone's time, and it's a bad experience for everyone involved. And a lot of the time you'll lose a decent sized sale because it's too much of a hassle. And all it boils down to is it is not known and not advertised that buyers cannot double dip. You cannot make an offer or have an offer accepted and then also use a coupon on top of that, because it's unfair to the seller.
Making bundles, having buyers make their own bundles with the use of a coupon, like a multi-coupon, buy 2, get 1 free, buy 3, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That works for bigger stores. It doesn't necessarily work for small stores or new sellers who don't have a lot on the same topic. So for you who's got several 100,000 listings of CDs and DVDs, I could almost guarantee you've got a lot of Michael Jackson, a lot of Britney Spears, a lot of Pink, a lot of Keith Urban, a lot of Taylor Swift. Like, you've got ones of the same where people can look into your store and go, I really want to go and buy Michael Jackson, and I'm going to go boop, 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 and buy like a heap of him, right? Or they want to buy all heavy metal or all hip hop or anything like this. So they can create their own bundles. And with me, I intentionally put a lot of the same books, not necessarily the same book, but the same genre or topic of book into my store so people can buy multis. So, for instance, I'll have a lot of cookbooks in my store and I might put them on the same genres or niches. So let's say, for example, keto diet, right? I might have a heap of different keto diet books on there. If somebody's about to start a keto diet, they might go to my store and there might be like a whole heap of keto, and then they see the coupon, they're like, oh, I'd actually like, she's got one there about how to start the keto, one on a keto cookbook, one keto this or whatever, and they can make their own bundle on the same topic. Or it's like the other day when I sold 5 Indian books, right? So I got a whole lot, then I go and put more Indian books in there, but it's like somebody wants to learn how to cook Indian or wants recipes on the Indian cuisine. If they come to my store, they've got a large variety of the same topic to make up a bundle. Whereas people who are new sellers and they've got small stores, they don't have a lot of the same. And so it's not as enticing for people to use like those multi-coupons because it's all just such a random mix.
I found the coupons for us work really well with DVDs and CDs. Don't work so well with books. However, you do get some savvy buyers that know how to use the search function in your store and they're prepared to spend the time to have a look. But I mean, we don't have stuff in categories. If we had stuff, everything was categorized, would make it a lot easier.
So,
but huge job.
I don't have everything in categories, but I use a lot of the same keywords, right? So like if somebody wanted to go to my store and search keto, then I make sure the keto, if it's a keto book, it's keto's in that title. Or if I want to do Indian cuisine, like a lot of the time will be Indian cookbook, Indian cuisine, Indian recipes. So if they were to put Indian into the thing, it would bring up a lot. Same as if they put in, Jamie Oliver or something. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of them in there because I make sure I put the keywords in there. Or I might put like, say, a community cookbook. I always make sure I write community cookbook. So if someone wanted to find more of that, they do that search.
You're reliant on people knowing how to search in the store and use that function. And I think that's an issue as well. I think eBay's never been good at educating people as to the functionality of the platform, what you can do and how you can do it. They have never been good at that. And I think that's their responsibility and their job. And I think that is a way they could help everyone. And I mean, what they're concerned about is they're concerned about their shareholders, their stock price, their profit and loss. That's what they're concerned about. That is their number one priority. And so it should be, because without that, they wouldn't be proactive in making improvements, albeit slowly. But this is some stuff that they could do, and it could be as simple as make some fun social media videos. It's not that expensive. You can get it out there and lift the profile of the site saying, this is a fun place to shop. This is some of the functionality. If you didn't know this, now you know. All right. And it's beneficial to everyone, from the stockholders to the buyers and the sellers. I think when you say a bigger store, smaller store, if you're a dedicated bookseller, how many listings should you have? Just throw a number out there before you think that coupon would be beneficial. Are we talking 3,000? Are we talking 5,000? What are we talking?
I don't know. It just depends on how many listings in the store are the same. Because you're saying when you do CDs and DVDs, the coupon works for you. The books, they don't. But you source very differently with books for me. So I do source a lot of the same niches, genres, authors, romance. Like I source a lot of the same. Whereas the books that you put into your store, what you like the most is the non-fiction, unusual, random, old, or just on strange topics. And that's great. Those books can sell for a lot of money. And you have sold books that are worth a lot of money, and they're old, unusual looking things that often need a little bit more research. Whereas I gravitate to the stuff where I don't need to research it and stuff, because sometimes I just don't have the the focus to be able to sit down and do all that research. I like to just get them up quickly. But I think the thing is we gravitate to different books, and your books would be harder. They're not all on that same topic, you know, like I just kind of feel like the coupon for you maybe doesn't work as well because of the type of books that you're selling.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. So essentially it's not the volume of listings, it's the volume of listings on the same topic, same niche. So that makes sense.
Yeah, I really think so. I think that makes a big difference with the multi-buys anyway.
So what is a good coupon then for a bookseller that doesn't have what we're talking about, that doesn't have 1,500 books on Indian cooking, for example?
Yeah.
What is a good coupon for something? Is a coupon a way to go for that?
I mean, the coupons work. eBay likes the coupon. I think it looks good on a storefront when you see a coupon. I think people do like a bargain. I don't really love the percentage of coupons because you don't know who's actually using them and you're just basically giving everyone a discount. So if you're going to do a percentage off, 20% off store-wide or whatever, you can do that. But I don't know, maybe like you don't want to do buy one free. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like the seller loses out quite a bit when you do buy one, get one free. Whereas if you do buy two, get one free, but again, it also depends on what your cost of goods is in your store to be able to offer coupons like that. Like for me, it's easy for me to do buy two, get one free, or even buy two, sometimes get two free, because my cost of goods is so low and a big chunk of my books are free. So it's not like by me giving them an extra book, you're missing out on that overall sale price, but it's enticing people to still buy and get that average sale price up. But the reason why I don't really like the buy two, get two free is it becomes too heavy if they order 4 really big heavy books and then I still need to send it in 2 parcels. And that eliminates the purpose of the coupon. The purpose of the coupon is to be able to try and multiply them, put them into one packaging so you're only paying one postage. Because that's where you actually make money, especially when you're doing free postage, because the postage is built into it. So I can send one book in this mailer and it's going to cost me the price to send this in, or I can send 3 books into this mailer. It's still going to fit. I've still only got the one cost of that thing. I might have got the books for free, so there's no actual cost of goods for me, but I've got 3 sales that have had the postage built into them.
That's a misconception. There's always a cost of goods. Even if those items are given to you, you got the logistics.
Oh, that's true.
You've got the time.
Yeah.
Nothing's for
That's
free.
True. That is
Nothing
true.
is for free. And essentially, you're solving a problem for people where you're essentially doing, in their eyes, waste disposal, and you're taking it to rehome, and you're doing them a favour. It's not for free at all, and it's a great trap people fall into. Oh, my cost of goods is nothing. Well, no. Of course, there is a cost associated with that.
Yep.
Are you telling me your time's not worth any money?
Yep.
The fuel in your vehicle?
Yeah, that's true.
You know, the suspension in your car when you've overloaded it with heavy cookbooks again and again and again.
My poor car.
Your poor car. Time for a van with heavy duty suspension, I think. Okay, so righto. So that all makes sense. I think that's really good.
We'll see. I mean, these kind of bundles are a little bit of a gamble sometimes because they are. These ones don't have, they're not all by the same. This one's by Charmwood. Sometimes you can get the large print. They're all by the same publisher, and I find that an easier way to list them because there's a brand, for instance, called Centrepoint. So if this was Centrepoint books, I'd be able to go 6 by Centrepoint large fiction.
Yep. And
then people who read large fiction, they become familiar with the different publishers, a bit like we're all familiar with Collins, Puffin, Scholastic, Murdoch books. We're familiar with the publishers, and I think those who are reading the large print become familiar with the publishers that they like as well.
So what's your plan for this week? I mean, I know you don't like to plan ahead too much, and it's not that you go with the flow, but we've got different ways of looking at priority systems. So I balance my priority system with, and priority, I say to my guys all the time, I don't take you off one task and throw you on another just for fun. It is literally because the priorities have changed. It could be weather dependent. It could be we've got something incoming. It could be any number of reasons. And I have thrown a lot of that at them because I want them to become familiar with that level of chaos where they go from one task to the other and they don't have 20 minutes to, in their brain, adjust from this role to that role. And what I find is that's fine. When they go back to the other role, that's when there's a delay and it takes a while for them to get
can
into
be
the rhythm.
detrimental because,
Yeah.
especially for different personalities, there can be that processing of moving from one task to the other, and sometimes like being interrupted in tasks can sometimes be just lose your focus and take so long to get back into that task.
So taking all that into consideration and what you've spoken about, so I already know what's happening this week. I know I've got basically my full crew of staff back. I already know one person what their two priorities are. I already know for two other people what their priorities are. And then I've already got it mapped out in my head. I don't need to write a list. I just need to verbalise at the start of the week and go, hey, listen, this is what your priorities for the week. I need you to work on this and this solely until it's finished. Okay? They know where they stand. They know what's going on. That's fine. Now, with one of my guys, the photographer, that's no problem because that's what he's doing. Until he's up to date with all the photos, that's when he can help with uploading. Two other guys, it's uploading. We have to get all those photos uploaded. With a couple of the others, I will chop and change them. So for you for this week, do you already know what your priorities are? For example, okay, we've got the public holiday tomorrow, being Monday. So we're not going to have a post pickup. So essentially you've got an extra day up your sleeve. The post for us on Tuesday will be frantic. So I'm paying my guys overtime to come in tomorrow to do a pick and pack. Because otherwise it'll just be too much for us tomorrow. Yeah. Everyone will be exhausted.
Oh, even me. I think I'll probably do a pack this afternoon.
Yeah.
Because there's already 90 orders waiting there. There's still the rest of today to go, tomorrow to go, and Tuesday morning to go.
Yeah.
And it's a lot to pick and pack. Even just doing the labels is very time consuming.
Yeah.
So I think if I can do a bit of a pack this afternoon, that will help me out. Probably maybe pack up at least 50 of them.
So you've got a strategic plan. You're already aware. You've already sort of forecast for the next couple of days. All right, tomorrow will be, or Tuesday will be frantic if I don't do some stuff now to alleviate that bottleneck.
Yep.
Okay. So what else? Like, are you going to, I know you're talking about clearing the stuff that needs photos.
That area. Just a constant keep working on those bundles.
So would you then go in a direction? So you start there and you work your way this direction. So you get photos, process all that, list all that, and then come to this area and say, okay, I've put on the back burner for a while the dealing with the baby carriers.
Baby carriers.
Because have you showed? Pick one of those up and show it off. So these things are huge. And how much are they brand new? $400, $600?
Yeah, they're like $500.
Okay, so
I can't help myself sometimes. I know it's money, and I will get to those this week.
it's not detrimental. You've done the right thing by picking those up, considering how much you picked them up for.
Yeah.
But the problem is this: get them back here, get them listed, processed straight away.
Yeah. And the only reason I haven't is I need to sit there and spend 10 minutes thoroughly checking all the clasps and.
That's your procrastination excuse. Okay, don't kid yourselves. Procrastination excuse. Okay, what I'm getting at is, and I mean, we have this conversation all the time, and you're constantly saying exactly the same thing to me.
Yeah,
it's like this truckload you haven't listed. It's been sitting in this spot for a year and a half, and I'm like, yeah, we're getting to it. You don't have to bug me every 6 months.
You bug me every day about those baby carriers and the bike.
Because you might as well have $300, $400 in cash just lying on the ground there.
Well, I see as well, because they're so big, I have to work out shipping wise and everything. Anyway, I'll do those during the week.
Okay, cool. So we have confirmation on camera that that's getting dealt with, i.e. listed and potentially sold this week. All right, now you're keeping the benches here. Mm-hmm. You want to keep that island bench there. Mm-hmm. All the piles of books in boxes.
They're still getting sorted.
So they're
not processed yet.
Have you got a thought process in mind for this week that, okay, you're going to tidy up that area so it's safer? books aren't going to get damaged.
Not this week.
So that's not this week's job. So what have you got on?
Those bundles on those tables need to be the priority, because once they're clear, I can start bringing over more of this, right?
Okay.
I can start eliminating this once that is through. And then once that is through, then I can start eliminating more. Once these are through, it leaves space to be able to make up, okay, I've got space here to get more books up and ready, and I can start processing the ones around. But I can't just keep going from here to there to here. It's like that's when I'm doing small chunks of things and it feels like I'm never getting actually anything finished. I think it's like yesterday when I did that table, I was like, oh my goodness, that has been sitting there for months, and it was all old hard books that I'd put there. Like obviously when I'd had them, like they were sitting on the ready to photo, but they were all hard, so I'd moved them there and kept bringing over the easier stuff. But yesterday, like dealing with that and getting it done was like, that's like a big relief off me. And I truly think that area needs to be the main point of focus. And until that's done, it's like the new stuff that's coming in, like this, okay, brand new coming in, deal with it straight away. The other stuff that's there is being processed, and I know the method to the madness. And there's probably during the week, I probably got at least maybe 2 or 3 hauls that will come in over the week. 3. So those books, when the new hauls are coming in, I'm spending time processing them straight away. So working out exactly what's getting photographed straight away, what's getting bundled. And I come and put them straight away. Like if I get a new haul in and there's an Indian cookbook, I come put it on the Indian shelf or whatever.
So the trap we fall into, and the balancing act is, if you miss a week of processing, of taking photos, of listing, of sorting, and then you've got chaotic piles, and then you have another haul come in.
Oh yeah, it's really
and
hard.
then you have another haul come in. Then you have another haul.
And that's what
come
happened
in.
last year when I was injured and I wasn't working as much and I was having time off and I was trying not to do as much physical stuff because of the arm.
Yeah.
And that's where all these piles come in, because I wasn't processing them instantly. They would literally come in and get piled in here because I physically was trying to avoid lifting everything and dealing with them. So a lot of this mess is kind of being created because of the circumstances last year. And I think once I'm actually on top of it, the new stuff coming in won't be an issue. It'll just be putting it into where it's meant to go. Single books waiting to list, bundles ready to list, or stuff waiting to bundle or anything like that. So I don't think that will be an issue, but it's just staying on top of the process stuff now as it comes in so it doesn't just make this 10 times worse. So it's just that balance of getting that stuff listed, that stuff, but also balancing the stuff that's coming in. And I mean, that's why I'm listing like 60. Like, I don't know if all year I want to list 60 a day. I'm working pretty hard at the moment. And I don't know if all year I might want to do 60. I might just love it and be getting into a flow with it and it might be fine. But if I at one stage want to scale it down a little bit, it's easier if the backlog is done. But at the moment with so much in here, I've just got to be listing more.
Well, I've said this before. I'm giving myself and the team 12 months to get on top of majority of our areas. We can't get on top of all of it because we have such a dramatic amount of stuff there. I think the thing is with this, so what I'm doing now is I gamify it a bit and I say, okay, say for example, the haul I've got that's coming is that, and that's 100 books, right? I'll say to myself, right, we're going to list those 100 new ones today, and then we're also going to list 200 of the items that are already here.
Yeah.
Or 1,000 come in and the guys are under the pump and it's like, guys, we're doing 3,000 listings today.
Yeah.
Where one of the other issues is say you get a really big haul and you know something's coming up, there's an event and I'm going to have a lot coming in at this point in time. So what I'd be doing is I'd be increasing the workflow to make room, knowing full well I've got a lot coming in. And then as soon as that comes in, I'd do exactly the same thing. I'd process that stuff first, and then I'd continue processing the other stuff. And one of the reasons for that is, as you go on in your reseller journey, you get better at it. So the newer stuff you've got coming in is generally, unless you're slipping, is generally going to be better. And you want to prioritize that and put that at the top of the priority system and get that dealt with first.
Yeah.
So where it becomes really tricky is when you get the unknown, where you get a random phone call from someone like me that goes, got a truckload of items here. They're really good and they're really cheap and I've made it really easy for you. Let's go. The truck's on the way. And then a truck turns up and you're like, uh-oh. You know, that's where it comes unstuck, where you can't forecast for that. It's the unknown.
Yeah.
So your systems have to be so good that if that happens, okay, I've got a contingency plan. I've got an area where, worst case scenario, we can stack X amount up there or do this or do that. I think that's crucial because everyone says to me, you've got enough, stop sourcing. But it's complete nonsense. It's absolutely wrong. It's changing what you source and how you source. So if I've had 50,000 items turn up and it's essentially dead stock, it will sell, but it's hard to move. Compared to if I go to a sale where they've got a very small amount of really good stuff and I know that opportunity is too good to pass up, you've got to take it when it's available. The best stuff at a good price in good condition is not always easy to find. It's all not always readily available. So you have to continuously buy it. If you don't do that, that's when you come unstuck. Getting a huge truckload of bad stuff is not ideal when you've already got a whole bunch of less desirable items.
Mediocre. Mediocre product. I mean, I got a lot of stuff in here that's worth a lot of money. Like yesterday when I listed that stuff from the table, that was just sitting there. Well, one book listed for about $350.
Yeah, crazy.
There was another one that went over $100. There was quite a lot of $50, $60 books in there. And like they've put into the hard pile because it's not like, oh, yep, boom, I know that one straight away. It's like, oh, yeah, that's a fault of mine. But
I think it's a mind trick we play on ourselves. For example, with those baby carriers, it's hard because it's different. It's not what we're used to.
Yeah.
But when you sit there and actually do the task, and then you go, well, actually, that wasn't that hard at all.
Yeah.
And then a day later they sell and it's a good profit. And you're like, wow, I could have done that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I could have done that every day 10 times over.
Well, exactly.
Like I'm leaving all the money on the table. The money's just sitting here on the shelves.
I think this is the thing I always find. When I actually sit there and time to do a particular task,
yeah.
And it's not just me doing it. I've got the whole team doing it now. I'm saying, right, we're all working on this one task until it's finished.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, we don't want to do that because that's been sitting there for ages and where. And I'm like, I don't want to do it either. But guess what? Once it's done, that's it.
Oh, you
it's
feel
done.
so much. Yesterday,
That
finishing that
dopamine
table,
rush.
I just felt like, I just felt happy. You know, at the end of it, I'm like, that's done now. That task is done. That's been like nagging at me every time I walk past it to pick an order. Like it nags at me like, oh, you have to do this table, you have to do this table. And then it took me a few hours.
It's not just you nagging, it's also a whole bunch of viewers that are looking at the table bowing. Yes. And they're like, you're going to break your ankle because that's going to collapse.
She's going to put one more thing on it and it's going to go whoop.
Yeah. Well, while your foot's under there and then you're going to be, in a wheelchair. And a wheelchair in here would be quite awkward. When you did that table, was it as hard as what you thought it would be?
No, it's just, like it is a little bit more time consuming. Even the books last night, they didn't really take me. There was a couple books, especially the one that was like $350 or something. I'm looking at that a couple of times to make sure I'm pricing that right and that's what they're actually selling for. But realistically, it's not. I think this is a lot of the time those older books as well. Like I'm a little bit sensory based. So like having a nice glossy book that feels nice to me and smooth and clean. Getting these old books with old torn dust covers that are kind of dusty and look like they've been sitting in someone's basement for 30 years. There's a bit of a sensory thing of me that's a bit like, I just don't even really want to touch. But it's not that they're bad or but that's my own personal sensory. I like, even if I buy a diary, I like to buy a diary that's nice and soft and smooth and I don't go in there and choose a diary off what it looks like inside. I'm feeling the diary to make sure if I'm picking up that diary every single day, like it appeases my sensory disorder.
I think at the end of the day, I think it's cliche that you have a hobby or you have something that develops into much more than a hobby. And I think that's the way reselling goes. I think a lot of people start off as, oh, this is a fun thing to do on the weekend, and all of a sudden you know, warehouses, forklifts, staff, trucks, and you're like, what happened? I just wanted to do this very small, and now look at it. But I think it's almost like we're junkies, and it's almost like we're chasing the fix, and we're chasing the dragon. You know that expression?
Oh, there's the thrill of the hunt or whatever. But
what's that dopamine rush?
You give me a bunch of nice cookbooks.
Yeah.
I will walk in here and instantly get those listed because I can't wait to get them listed, and I can't wait to look at them as I'm photographing them. You give me a stack of vintage books, too hard.
Yeah.
And that's just what I like. There's other people that love doing vintage books, and that's why I always say, like, photograph, do what you love. Don't just do what I love. Like, it's dumb for somebody to go, well, Mel sells lots of cookbooks, I'm going to sell lots of cookbooks. There's lots of cookbooks that sell on eBay. There's lots of war books that sell on eBay. There's lots of gardening books that sell on eBay. There's lots of, like, historical books that sell it. Like, there's so many different genres. They all sell equally as well. It's what you put into the store that you like and stuff, that you gravitate to a certain niche, you're going to do that. So you know, I know some people will just kind of look at me and go, well, Mel sells that, I'm going to sell that. It doesn't necessarily mean because I sell it well that somebody else will sell it well. Sometimes it's because I got a passion in that particular area and I love it and I'm very familiar with it, that will help that sell. But you will not see me procrastinating on a stack of really nice, beautiful cookbooks that I just can't wait to get into my store and see sold. I'll be there in a flash.
Yeah, a lot of the time I'll do a pre-sort on bulk CDs that come in, and essentially I'll sort into a few different piles. Stuff I know we've already got listed, stuff I know we need for a bundle, stuff that I personally want to deal with, mainly because it's stuff that I either know is valuable for some obscure reason, or it's something I'm not familiar with, but I've got a gut instinct and I personally want to research it because I want to learn.
Yeah.
And then I'll give the bread and butter and the stuff that doesn't really interest me and the stuff I assume isn't worth a great deal to the guys to go off and list. And that's fine. Their job is to process and list. And my job is to have a strategic overview of the operation so I've got better knowledge when I'm going out and picking that I don't have to be pulling my phone out every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I can just go boom, 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 you know?
Yeah.
So... yeah, okay. So, I mean, it sounds like you do have a plan in your mind for what's going to happen in here this week. Have you thought about, for example, and this is something I need to do myself, is when you've got that pile of brand new, glossy, nice, sexy cookbooks, and then you've got the old, borderline mouldy smelling, weird, obscure books. Have you thought about, okay, before I reward myself and do the cookbooks that I want, I'm going to do this pile. Have you thought about doing that?
It's exactly like that book, Eat the Frog, isn't it? You get through the task in the morning. The first thing you do is do the task that you don't want to do because then every other task is easy. So that's what that whole Eat the Froggies book, get the worst thing of your, like you've got your priority list for the day, maybe like your top 3 things. What's the worst one? Knock it off straight away, and then the rest of the day becomes easy. Whereas if you do your first couple of things on your list straight away, you get to the end of the day, you start to tire, you start to just, like, it's hot, you start to get hungry, you're needing another coffee like I need now, and then then you don't want to go and do the hard stuff. You're like, oh, that's okay, I can do that tomorrow, I'll leave it there, I'll go do something else instead. So I think sometimes it is a matter of, I know what you're sort of saying, gamify it, like, okay, you've got these beautiful cookbooks you want to list, go and list 10 crap ones, not crap, but, 10 books that you don't want to list, and then you can go list your 10 things. So then it's like a game, like, oh, I can't wait to do it. And I know that definitely works for you, and sometimes it works for me, but that I don't know. I know what you mean.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
And it basically just comes down to discipline. But I think sometimes you've got to force it upon yourself.
Yeah.
The issue with that is you like the cookbooks. You're more passionate about it. That will shine through and you'll do a better job of it and you'll probably achieve better results.
Yeah.
And it's when something doesn't interest you and you just sort of skim over it. And it's like the example is the piano rolls. Piano Piano?
Piano. Piano.
I don't know.
High
Anyway,
five on the piano rolls.
yeah, I'm all high-fived out. Look, it didn't interest me. I thought they were cool, and I thought, no, they're too good to throw out, certainly. And, it's part of a bundle deal, and yeah, sure, no problem. We're here to rehome things.
Yeah.
And we are here, and don't kid yourself, we are here to rehome things for profit.
Yeah.
And that's the basis of the business.
Yeah.
And, you've gone, and one element of it is you're trying to prove to me that I made a mistake. That's fine. And you
made a mistake
there.
what?
By not listening to myself.
Oh,
But
the piano rolls you're talking about.
but it's the same with those babysitter club books. But I mean, I couldn't think of anything worse to deal with. I'm like, I know.
Even I didn't
they're
like
valuable.
dealing with them. But do you know what? I knew that if I sat those in here when I brought them back, because they were acceptable and they just weren't that sensory, nice, glossy cookbook feel, I knew that if I didn't deal with those straight away, they would sit there in one of these piles for a very long time.
So
And I would avoid them.
what's
So I literally walked them straight in, put them on the desk, and dealt with them straight away.
okay? And you think about it. You dealt with it straight away. You dealt with it properly, and look how quickly they sold.
But they're all sold.
Right.
I'm pretty sure both lots have sold, and they'll be packed up in the next.
Well, it's your shout for coffee then. There's certainly a beauty in bringing stuff back and processing it. And I think that's a really good habit that everyone could form. It's not about not having death pile. It's not about not having working inventory pile. It's about processing. And if you're a good reseller, you will never be out of stock. You'll never not have something to work on. You'll always have ways of bringing in more inventory. And you just got to keep those wheels going. If all of a sudden you go, I've got too much, I'm going to stop and I'm just going to process everything here. In my mind, it's not that it's a cop-out. It's not that it's the wrong thing. It is. In my opinion, it is the wrong thing to do because you've got to have the in and the out. And if you can sort of try and equal those out, I'm not talking about having that nirvana where you source 30 items a day, you sell 30 items a day, and you list 30 items a day. I mean, that's beautiful when you think about it, but I think it's an oversimplification of it. And maybe it's not in certain other niche categories, like if you're a clothing seller, maybe that makes perfect sense. In media, I think it's absolutely necessary to always have essentially an influx, but I think it's got to be at a controllable level.
And if it's coming in more than you're able to process, I think there are times when you have to say you need to list more or something. And it's hard sometimes with store, like my shelves are fairly full at the moment. Do you know what I mean? That's why it's imperative that I get the sell through. If I'm the sell through's coming up, like when I sell 40 the other day and I'm like, okay, I put 60 and I sell 40, there's 20 extra shelves every day going on my shelf. Or if I'm selling 30, then there's 30 extra books going on my shelf every day. Now, if each shelf holds 60 books, you can see how it very quickly all your shelves start to fill up and you don't have much storage space, which becomes a huge issue for volume. But I do think like at the moment for me with the quantity, if I just said, I'm only going to list 20 things a day, like I'm just going to be buried in here by books. Like I need to do more than 20 a day to be able to eliminate some of these piles.
Have you thought about putting more shelves in here?
Well, it's just where, it's just where, especially for listed stuff. I mean, possibly as space frees up, I might add some more.
What about having a strategic approach where you have rapid shelves, right? Where you have two shelves, and I can see you've got room in here straight away for two shelves.
Yeah.
It doesn't impede you too much.
Yeah.
And what you say is, these are my dedicated rapid shelves. And the purpose of these shelves is to help speed up cash flow and to, what I'm going to do is mentally, anything I put there is only going to sit there for a maximum of a month. Because what I'm going to do is it's going to be desirable. It's going to be priced competitively. I'm going to pump it and I'm going to work hard to get those selling. If you have two shelves where you dedicate to those rapid in, rapid out,
I think that's kind of what I envisage the photo area to be. And I'll probably, once that's clear, I'll probably will redesign that area a little bit. And that's the kind of like, you know, I was thinking of my store in tiers, like tier 1 is books over a certain amount, tier 2 is the middle range books, and tier 3 is the lower range books. And I'd love to get it on the, like an area over there where it's like, okay, this is going on to tier 1, and whatever's on tier 1, doesn't matter if it's books you don't like, that's the priority to kind of list because they're the higher priced books. And then tier 2, tier 3, they're like the buffer books. They feel that they still need listing, and you might have to do a few of them merged in there, but you're trying to get those tier 1s up as quick as possible. And at the moment, just because of the way that the space is, that's really hard for me. But I think once I clear that, I do have like a vision in my head a little bit, which is hard for me to portray, but I do have some ideas for that area, but I need the area to be clean. Yeah. So I think my priority is working on that area, which is a problem in my systems at the moment. And once it's clear, then I reassess that area, and that's the kind of thing I'm looking at.
Well, if you're an artist and you are, you know how some artists, they get an old painting, the painting's not very good, but it's got a beautiful frame, and they literally repaint over that painting. Or they might just swap the painting out. But sometimes old paintings get painted over. I've always found it really difficult, the concept of if you're painting over another painting, right, even if you whitewash it first, you can still see some lines or some thicker areas of paint shining through. And it's hard to do a unique painting over the top of that and not get influenced by, there's a line there, I'm going to put a line in this new painting. So I find it really difficult to visualise how you're going to rearrange an area until essentially it's empty. And that's the problem we've got at the minute.
It's once it's clear, you can have ideas in your head, and then once it's clear, you can fiddle around with it and move things around and be like that. When it's full like that, it's a heavy weight on you, and it's just all that waiting to do. You know, I know that I can't go, I'm going to finish all this in a day. I don't get that dopamine hit. It's like that Groundhog Day of kind of do it. But like the other day I did one table, and that made me feel like, okay, it's one table gone. Now I've got like, let's work on the next shelf or the next table or whatever.
Is it a danger then if you have tier 1, 2, 3 to focus on the tier 1? Is that a danger? Because then it makes dealing with tier 3 so much more laborious.
I think there just needs to be a balance of the tiers going into your store, because like I'm always going to have those lower range books in my store. They do bring activity, they do bring repeat buyers, they do get people in the door buying these lower books, and then once you get somebody in the door, you've got the opportunity to impress them with your service and the quality or whatever, and hopefully they come back and become a repeat buyer. But I think there has to be a balance of you. At the moment, my store is dominated by tier 3. And I need to increase the listings on tiers 1 and 2 to get the average sale price up. So it's just finding that instead of putting like 80% or 90% of the books in there at tier 3, it's like switching it around and getting like a higher percentage of tier 1 going in to tier 3.
And I think that plays on different sourcing opportunities. So, for example, if I get in touch and say, hey, Mel, got a truckload of books for you. It's part of a bigger deal, and they're not going to cost you anything, or you just have to pay for the freight, or whatever the case may be. The price is right, but the titles generally are not. It's generally going to be that tier 3 stuff.
Yeah.
Mostly. Sometimes there's some really good stuff in amongst the rough, as opposed to when you're out hand sourcing from the thrift shop, from other areas where you're hand picking, and it's a different mindset. You know, you might pick up a bread and butter book because you know it's quick and easy to deal with. You know you sold 20 copies, and you know regardless, it's not a huge profit margin, but it's easy and it's easy to deal with. And it sells. So you'll grab that.
Yeah.
And then you'll go for that higher end stuff. So everyone's trying to get to that tier 1 stock, but it's just a case of in your area, your ways of sourcing, what realistically can you get, etc., etc. And it's just balancing that is hard.
Yeah.
Anyone can buy volume stock.
Yeah.
If you know who to speak to and how to speak to them and what to do, anyone can get volume stock. Do you have truck access? Do you have a forklift? Do you have a warehouse? No. All right, be realistic. You're not going to receive a truck at your house and hand unload it while the truck driver waits there and store a truckload in a one-car garage. It's just not realistic.
No.
So it's just one of these things where you got to think about what you can do and what you can't do. The difference between what's realistic and what's possible, and sort of ramp it up from there. But I mean, as I said, everyone wants to go for that tier 1 stuff, but you just got to be realistic about it. Can you only have a small store where everything is tier 1, highly sought after items in exceptionally good condition at a really high price, and they're guaranteed, almost guaranteed to sell and sell quickly? That is incredibly difficult to achieve.
Yeah, it's possible, but it's harder.
Incredibly
And
difficult.
it's also like it ends up, it's harder to get the volume up as well. Of that
Well, that's right. You can do it in small amounts, but you might go to 20 thrift shops, come away with 5 items. Yeah, they meet the metric. Yeah, they're all bangers. Great titles, great condition. They've got that trifecta of success. But you've just been to 20 stores. You've just got 5 books or 5 items. It's not that it's a waste of time, but it's a lot of legwork.
Oh, yeah. Righto, can we get coffee? My mouth is dry.
Have some more water. You must hydrate. You have a lot of work to do. In fact, I must hydrate as well. I also
do.
have work to do.
And then we'll get coffee and then I'll start the next task.
What's the next task?
Picking and packing.
Good old pick and pack, eh?
Yeah. Actually, I might photograph these books before I pick and pack just to get them off this bundle, off this bench.
Well, if you're going to photograph them, why don't you just photograph them and list them and complete the task?
They'll get listed tonight if they get photographed today.
Good to see you got a clear vision. Is that your good one or your bad one?
It's my bad arm.
I thought that was your bad one.
Oh, sorry, this is my bad arm. So you got to go this arm.
So just so I got it right, I've got your bad arm.
No, this is my good
pat.
arm.
Yeah. Righto. No, you got to fix that one up.